Okay. Oh, come on. Oh, it's because it's trying to use them. No, it's not. Should be getting sound. That's weird. That is really weird because that only started working when I went into my settings. But I haven't changed anything in Streamlabs. How bizarre. Obviously something is up with the Mac. It was having issues yesterday, so... Okay, I'll keep an eye on it and make sure that it carries on going. Perhaps it was just having one of those moments. As I was saying. So, I've got A5 piece of card, nice and thick, that is going to stand in for my card base today. I've got different toppers, so we've got a circular one, square ones, and then little strips that we can use. I have my decorative papers, just so I have another quick flick through. And then we have texture card, which is really good for when we want to create a touch of luxury. Plain card, so that's just smooth. So if we do want to do any stamping, we can always stamp onto colour. And we have some pearl paper. So I have a rough idea in my head of what I want to do. I thought it'd be quite good to show you actually working it out as such as we go. So let's start with a square topper. And we can pop the other bits out of the way. So these are pre-cut, so they will just pop out if you need to. There you go. But we can also scan and cut those out if we want to. So if you wanted to pull out this detail here to put it onto a different colour, we could do. What I would say is just bear in mind that this is supposed to be square here. So it might be that we use scan to cut data to do that instead. And come on, focus. Focus camera, down here. Down here. It's going to happen one of those days. Come on. Focus on the map. There we go. So, I'm testing out a new map in case you haven't kind of spotted it. So, this one is a colour and shape one, and it's been very kindly sent to me from Craft Store Direct. So, I'll let you know how I get on with that one. It seems to be a bit better on the stream, so it should be a bit brighter today, fingers crossed. Let's turn on my machine and we're going to swap camera. Okay, so my blade's out of my machine, so I can go OK. And that's just saying that when it auto powered off, it had something that was on the mat. Do you want to retrieve it back? I'm going to say no, because I don't need it anymore. And let's pull out my mat. And let's just pop back overhead for a moment. So we get lots of the same topper in the pack, or the topper sheet I should say. So we can choose which one we want to use, and say we do go for this one. I'm going to pop this one out, just because I think it'd be really good to show you how we can play with the scan. So, you can always just use a nail file on the little tags when you're ready. So I'm going to pop this onto my mat and I'm going to put it in 1 inch from the top and 1 inch from the side, like so. So let's see if There you go. If I do that, then you can see it a bit better. Now, you do want your mat to be a bit tacky, so what I'm going to do for my mat, because it's starting to lose its tack a bit, is I'm going to put it on the opposite side. But if you stick to those rules, then you know that it's going to be able to see your scan and be able to get around the outside of your image. So let's load that into the machine. Change camera while it's loading. Okay, so if we go to scan, we can go to direct cut because we want to cut out of that actual embellishment. We're going to use the machine because we want to be able to edit it all on screen rather than having to go to canvas. And we're going to go to colour. Okay. It's going to throw a bit of an error about the scanner lever. Now the choice is yours. If it's slightly thicker you can leave it up, you don't have to lower it. But for this, where it's a bit thinner, I'm just going to lower it down. Then we can tell it start. Okay, so I'm going to bring this in, and I'm not going to take it all the way up to the cut edge because I want to show you what you don't do, so that you can go, okay, I can't do it that way. Okay, so at the moment it's going to cut along the bottom edge of our card. Okay, so first of all you want to see if you can get rid of that, or if it sees it as part of that bottom shape, then we have to change how we do things slightly. So I'm going to go to OK. Let's see if we can edit it. And we can see it's pulled it out in all different pieces. So when it does that, that's your first clue to, okay, that's not going to do what I wanted to do. So we'll go home and reset. Back to scan, and we're going to swap across to scan to cut data. So whenever you need to weld something, then you can hop across to scan to cut data, and so long as you don't move it from your mat, it should be lined up when you bring it back in. So we're still going to use colour though. So whereas usually with scan to cut data you'll be used to using black and white, we're going to swap to colour. Because we've got that white flower in that top right corner, it just makes it a little bit easier for it to see. We're still going to resize. So we're ignoring most of the mat, and it's going to make the process a little bit quicker. And morning, Linda. So I must say I haven't done the mornings, have I? So good morning, Deb. Morning, Corinne. And apologies for the sound issue at the beginning. That's a bit weird. And hello, Mummy. Okay, so we've got our file in now. It's kind of done like an initial scan, and it's going to ask for what you want to do, whether you want it to just cut around the outside, or if you want it to go around the outside and the inside. Now because we're going to weld that square over the top, what I'm actually going to do is just go around the outside. Okay, so that then means that it's traced everything, and most things should be kind of covered when we come to do our weld. Now there's a few bits in here that aren't quite right, so I want to show you how to fix that too. So first of all, let's see if we can do it by using our colour. So let's put a few more colours in. It's a bit better. So I'll go OK at that. Okay. And then it's going to want to save that file. So you can choose where you want to save it to, if you want to save it to the machine, to the USB, or if you want to do work that involves subtracting, dividing, removing overlap, you're going to want to send it to Canvas. So I'm going to go to the machine because I just want to weld. Okay, and it's going to give it a number. That number will depend on how many files you already have saved on your machine. So with that saved, I'm just going to go back home and OK. Feels really counterintuitive that, because it feels like you're going to lose your work, but no, as long as you've had that saved and it's giving you the number, it should be fine. So I'm going to go to retrieve data to the machine, down to the bottom, and there's our file. I'm going to go OK. So before I go to your file, what I want to do is just do a background scan. And the reason I'm going to do that is so that I can check that the actual cut line goes where I need it to. Okay, so now we have a scan that we can work with. So let's zoom in a bit so we can actually see what we're going to be working with. So we're going to go into move and zoom. I'm going to zoom right into 400%. You use your scroll buttons to move across and down, and there we go. So you can kind of see that it's picked up bits of this flower here, but not all of it. So we're going to need to create a shape that's going to go over that we can weld. But it's managed to pick up most of these other elements. There's a little bit just here that it hasn't picked up. But when we do our welding for our square, we can kind of fill in the gaps. So it's going to be a bit easier to kind of flip between having that scan on and off. So I can see in real life this square in the middle is about 2 inches wide. So I'm going to go add, pattern, basic shape, square. Now if you're in millimetres and you want to go to inches, just go on your little spanner, 2 inches, and OK. So I tend to hop between the two depending on what I'm doing. And set that onto my mat. It's going to pop it up into that top corner. So we just want to drag that over our design. And we're going to go into object edit. So we can see straight away it's a little bit too big. So let's shrink that down. Now it's going to resize from that centre. So if you need to nudge things across in a minute, you can do. But I'm just going to judge it on the height. So I think about there will do. Okay. Now if we were to try and click and drag, so to speak, that shape on our screen, we'd risk moving the other shapes, which are obviously locked. They're not locked, but they're in the right place for where we want to go. So we don't want to accidentally move them. So we're going to use our nudge keys instead. Now firstly we can do that using our main move keys, but then when we want to tweak and make sure that we get that accurate, we can zoom in, we can scroll across and down a little bit, and then we can move things more precisely. So I'm looking at where my square kind of sits with the other elements, because we want these corners out here to be fairly accurate. So if I move it across one, yeah, about there is absolutely fine. So we can go, okay, that square's in the right place. So let's weld what we have so far. So we're going to go to multi-select, select all. So that's going to select all those different shapes we've got on the map. And if we're lucky, it should weld. And we'll go, okay. So now that we've done that, let's zoom back in. And I'm just going to drop my scan down one notch. So it's going to be a little bit paler so you can see our cut lines a little clearer. So let's zoom. And zoom again. So by knocking it back, it's just going to make it a bit easier for you to see which bits are missing and that we need to add back in. So we've got a circle shape that needs to come in here. And if you want to, you can tidy up these bits around here too. So I think that's going to be a necessary part to do. There's also a little bit in here that needs sorting as well. So we can add a circle there. So we need 3 circles that are about 1/2 inch. Which is going to help kind of just join that up so that it's going to be done. So let's go, okay, okay, and then we're going to go, okay, once more to add pattern, basic shape, down to our circle, and let's take it down, 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 down. So I put one in, so I probably need 2 about that size, so we can go and put our number up to 3, but then the one that you've now got selected, we can put that one up a little bit. It just needs to be a little bit bigger for that flower in the top right. Okay, so I'm going to position these very roughly where I think they need to go. And go okay. So now we're going to go into zoom up to our 400%, scroll across, scroll down, okay, so I'm going to judge just by leaves and things. So that circle there just needs to move down just a fraction. And in a bit. Like so. This one down here needs to move down. And this one here, didn't get that very close at all, so let's just pop that one in there, and that's just to get that part of the flower there. So we're actually editing where it sees that cut line without having to go back and redo everything. So, okay. Now we need to weld that because we're happy with the position of those elements. So select all, object edit, weld. Okay. So that should now have everything welded. I'm going to go okay. Do one last check to make sure that you're happy. So this could be that you just want to pop a forward outline onto something that is printed. It could be you just want to draw a nicely neat border around. Okay, so there's a few little bits and pieces that aren't brilliant, but I think for what we're going to do next, that's probably good enough. Okay, so I'm going to go OK. And I'm going to go to Object Edit. I'm going to go to Offset. Okay. If it does that, that generally means that there's something that's not quite right with that path. So don't think, oh, it won't let me. Okay, so let's see if we can help it out a little bit. It could be those little tiny bits. It's just throwing a little bit of a hissy fit with. So you can go along the same way of fixing that. So let's just do. Circles are really good for patching things because you kind of have that ability to just kind of nudge one part of that circle into being able to weld. And so obviously at the moment that's going to be way too big, but I'm going to just position it kind of centrally where I think the issue is, which is just those little lines there. We can go to resize. Up a little bit, cross a little bit, come on, okay. So I am just going to zoom and just double check. Yep, that's covering that there. Now there's another little bit just up there and down here, so I'm going to probably just use a duplicate of those just to patch that up. So there's one bit up there. Right, if it does that and it just sets off, let go. Just undo it just in case you'd accidentally moved it. Then we can use our select function to get back to the circle that we're removing. Okay, a bit over there. And then just zoom in and check. So I'm just going to move that up because where that leaf comes back in, that should be where the square is. This bit here is okay. That bit there is okay, so I'm going to go OK. Select all, Object and Weld. Okay, so let's see if it'll let me do it this time. No, it's not going to play ball today. Okay, fair enough then. I won't force you to. Now, when you're working with a shape where your print is going to go off the edge of the square, so if I hop overhead, let's grab another copy, it's that same topper. So, you can see that if I kind of pull apart that cut line there, the actual image goes off the edge, so where it bleeds off is basically it. Then what we want to do is just avoid trying to cut off that edge. So particularly if you're going to use offset, but even just doing just a cut line where it thinks it should be, you could potentially damage your mat. Now there's a couple of ways that we can mitigate that, and let's show you a quick way. So I am going to make myself a little bit of a frame. So I'm going to cut off some of the scrap bits from around my frame, or the toppers I should say, and let's just probably need some to 3 sides. So I'm just going to cut this into little pieces. So I have little buffer pieces that I've cut. They're in the same material, so it's not that it's going to affect the cut depth if it does actually test in that part. So I'm just going to line that up, and let's see if I can move the camera just so you can see what I'm doing. So I'm going to line that up so where bits go off the edge we've got a little bit of a buffer. So it's the bottom, it's the top. And it doesn't matter if these get cut or if they move, just as long as it kind of protects that buffer edge there. So there we go. So we've now got our kind of safety net of our card. We can go back up to our screen now. I'm going to go OK. OK again. And we're going to go to cut. Now, this is detailed, and if you're watching yesterday's stream, we've got two options. We can either go to the vinyl auto blade if you have it, or we can go to the manual. And why is that gone so dark, Wilson? Come on, camera, focus. It was really bright earlier, it's gone really dark. See the camera. So I'm going to go, actually, let's try the manual blade, shall we? Let's go for, it's got two chances. So you see, as soon as you pop in the blade, it's going to go and figure out what the pressure for that should be. Let's see if I can sort out this. Come on, focus. There we go. Silly thing. Can't solve the light issue, but we can solve, or at least solve the focus. Okay, so it's doing all the little inside bits first, obviously. Okay, so while that is doing that, let's swap back overhead and let's plan what we're going to do next. So we're going to want to put a little bit of a offset there underneath. Now, while this may not be perfect, we can at least pop a little bit under that square so that we get a little bit of a border. Now I'm just going to pick out the colour now. I think that blue is going to work quite nice actually, because it's going to pull out the blue in our little flowers here. Come on, light, there we go. So just here and here. It's almost gone too pale now, hasn't it? I was trying to see if I could fix the light earlier, but it's a bit all over the shop. Now it's going to settle down. You bizarre thing, you. So that's going to do for our topper. We then need some pattern paper to put underneath. So let's go for I'll start off with something fairly plain in terms of layout. So let's go for the feather, because that's nice and simple. And I want something with a bit more colour to it. go for this one, although I'm going to use it actually that one. I'm going to use it slightly differently. Okay. So, with those chosen, I'm going to go back to the machine, change camera, and let's see if this has cut. So very carefully, I'm just going to lift that around the edge. It's not quite all the way through. It's done okay where the square is, but it's still a little bit attached. So I'm just going to pop it up just a half a notch and just quickly run that round again. Okay. So the plan is I'm going to do a border using the edge of this paper here. So if I just put my hand under there. So that's going to be one shape that's going to go onto my card, and it's going to sit quite nicely in there. So to be honest, I'll probably just cut that with a trimmer, so it's a bit easier to do that way. So let's do that next while that's cutting. And with most papers you'll find that one border is slightly thicker than the other to kind of give you a top and bottom, but as I'm going sideways, just pick whichever one you think works better. So I'm going to go for that. There we go. So that's going to go on there like that. And we could actually just chop down that one. Originally I was going to do it so it was like 3 panels. Yeah, I'm going to just go for it as you do. So let's just give myself a little bit of a mark to go by. Grab a pencil. Good to go, so let's take that one out. And the offcuts we can use to make another card if we want to. So that's going to give us our base design like so. And then I'm thinking with a really colourful one, that might be a good opportunity to do a little bit of cutting on the machine. Okay. That's looking promising. So we've got this is why we put those buffers there, so that we know it's going to catch our blade so we don't accidentally cut our mat. And you look and you see probably next to nothing on there. It's just there to save your mat. Okay, so I'm going to just get my spatula to get the rest of that off because we've got some detailed bits. So we have our little floral topper, nice and finely cut out. So we've got the little bits of detail all the way around. So then what I'm thinking is we can actually just create a border for that square section. So we know that 2 inches was a fraction too big, so I'm going to go for a 2-inch square. Nice and simple. So over we go up. Back up with the camera. There we go. Let's go OK and reset. Straight in for a square. Down to our 2 inches. Not that far. Oh. There we go. Add that to our mat. So we can also use our cutting mat to measure our topper so we can work out how much space we need around our design as well. So if I'm going to pop this on another circle, for instance underneath, you're going to go to your highest measurement, so in this case the height, and we're going to go, okay, actually it's looking about 10 centimetres, which is about the size it comes in anyway, so that's going to be good to go. So let's add that in. So let's go add. I'm going to pop in a circle. It's going to come in at 10 centimetres anyway. So right now we're working onto an A5 piece of card, and I've put that on vertically. So what we can do is we can actually help ourselves out a little bit by going to our cut area, and we can size that down. So I'm looking at just under 5 inches wide, no, just under 6 inches wide even. So a little bit wider, and then looking at about just over 8 inches for the height. So I'm going to go like that. Okay, so that's set my cut area. But now our circle's sticking out of that, so it's not going to fit that way, but we can use our space saving to actually help us out. And there we go. So that is going to be the way that you save the most material, and it just means it's just going to rotate it. And that's fine. We can go OK at that. OK again. And because it's just basic shape, I'm going to pop out my manual blade, and I'm going to pop in the standard auto blade. Alter the camera, there we go, so you can at least see it cutting. Having a laugh day with me today, isn't it? Come on. Okay. So we have a circle, and we almost have a square. But rather than try and cut it out again, I'm just going to grab my knife, if I can find it, and I can just finish that off. It was hiding at the back. My own fault for tidying up this morning. So I'm going to go overhead, And the knife that I use is a slice knife, which is a ceramic blade, so it is quite safe to use. I think the machine did it on purpose just so I have to test out cutting that, otherwise I won't cut on it. There we go. So just pop that out. Essentially what you're doing is that you're only cutting through the back anyway, so it's easy enough to go freehand. So let's build this up. So I'm going to have that so that it's going to stick into the centre of our square. Now that is going to be easier to do with wet glue than it is going to be to do it with tape, just because of the positioning. So let's grab a little bit of aqua glue so that we can just tap that in place. Less is more when it comes to glue. So come on. It's definitely going to be one of those days. Come on. Where's my little... Constantly when you have to use the pin out of the PVA to get it to work. There we go. There we go. If you get a little bit that comes out at the end, just... So I'm using very, very little glue. So although I'm going all over the top, I'm leaving like a very smidgen. Because otherwise you can cause your work to crinkle, and we don't want that after we've spent all that time. There's a little bit of tidying I just need to do on that as well, so let's do that once this is set. Nice and quickly, probably easier to do it with scissors. Just going to tidy this end up here. There we go. Job done. And let's bring in our circle. So if we were to put our navy circle underneath, number one, you're not going to see that nice border that we've just put around that square. But also we're going to potentially have like some bits that might be showing on the bit here that you're not happy with, for instance. So it just needs a little bit of white just to help that pop up. So I'm going to grab, let's see what we've got. Now I've probably already used my white textured one, which would be my go-to. So let's swap to the pearlescent, and we could go for nice. Let's see if I can get that to kind of shine. There we go. So we've got nice pearlescent cream that we're going to use. So actually, before I stick that down, let's make life a little bit more interesting and just see if I can kind of put that in place so that it's going to kind of cut round it. So I'm just going to use some wet glue just for speed, and a little bit on your outside petals too, just because we don't want those to move after we've cut round them. Okay. And we'll move that in so we're well within our paper, like so. Now let's just have a feel. So that's probably about a 2 on the manual blade. So I am going to use manual. So with that now stuck in, so we're well within from the top and the side, we're going to do the same on the mat. So again, 1 inch in, 1 inch down. And because we're not going to be cutting out the actual leaf sections, we don't have to worry as much about that glue being, firmly set. So let's go back up to our screen and let's show you what I'm going to do. I'm going to go, okay, I'm going to reset. I'm going to go to scan, direct cut, because we still want to cut out of this item but we don't want to weld. We're going to go to machine. I'm going to leave it on the colour setting because we're working with light colours on a light background, so it's going to need to be a little bit cleverer than normal. It's very quiet today, there's not much chatter going on. I've got a challenge for you all as well. Okay, so I'm going to frame the image, so I'm just going to bring it in loosely so that we make sure that that top left hand edge is on our paper, and we're going to go okay. You can actually alter the scan quite a lot just by the movement and positioning of those two arrows. So if you're trying to get to an inside shape, sometimes that is the way to go. Okay, so we can see from our scan that it's literally pulled out everything that we've got. So we've got the text, we've got the inner shape of that white square, and we've got the outer shape of our flowers combined with our outer frame. And what we actually want is just that outer frame to be cut out. So I'm going to go okay. And on this next screen you get an option for how you want it to kind of treat those lines. So if I move that in a bit closer, let's see if we can pick that up. I'm going to go to this option over here. So we don't use this very often. And the top one is saying, right, I'm going to trace this image and I'm going to put that line around that image. Okay. The next one is to put a circle around it. So if I press that, you can see it's going to put a circle around each of those elements. Okay. So that might be where you want to go. You can have a scallop circle if you want. We can put stars. We've got lots of different squares. We can put a hexagon around it. So if you want to keep it so that you're kind of having geometric shapes without going to a circle, then you can do that too. And I'm just thinking I've got that circle that I originally cut that was about 10 centimetres. So it may be that when we put our hexagon over the top that we just see like little bits of that circle. So it's probably a little bit too big for what we want. And then we've got like this really funky curved frame that we can use. But again, I think that's just going to be a little bit too big. So let's go back to our circle. So that's going to feel a lot more kind of succinct and small. I'm going to go okay, even though we've got these little ones in the middle, so don't panic about that too much. I can still go to offset and I can say okay, that's a little close to those leaves on that edge, so we can actually just take that out a fraction. That's fine. We can go okay, and then we can go to edit. So this is where we can delete individual shapes. And we want to delete everything apart from that big circle. Okay. So I'm going to go okay. And just try and check. It's a bit hard, but try and check whether you are going to still be on your paper. if you are at all concerned, then you can use that same border technique that we did with the first bit of topper. So I'm going to pop that in. So while that's doing that, I am going to, let me just grab my mouse, because I need to go to overhead. There we go. Say hello to the new brother app. So this literally went live this morning, so if you didn't do a pre-order, you can go and grab it now from the App Store on your iPhone or iPad. As far as I know, it should also be available on Android, but I don't have one to actually go and check that for you. And straight away you can see that you've got embroidery designs, cutting designs and templates that you can use. You have a digital magazine, and then you have cut files and embroidery files that you can actually use, so that you can actually start to create more projects than what you can in Canvas Workspace. Now, when you first log in, you do have a choice as to whether you want to use your Canvas login, or you can use your Apple login, or I think it gave me the option of using the Facebook one. So I just logged in with the Canvas one as normal. It will ask for your email address, and when you sign up, it will then send you a PIN number for you to put back into the app, just so that it's all safe and secure. And you've got lots of different options. So if we go to see all in the pattern recommendations, we've got a nice little rose border that we could create with a card with. If you wanted to go down the route of foiling it, that would look really pretty actually. Might try that one. So it's got access to a lot of shapes that you might not have on your machine, just a thought. So it's going to be worth you having a look. You can start a new project with your drawing tools. You have My Creations, which basically is going blank at the moment because you haven't started anything yet. Now it does say 0 of 20, so it could be that you're kind of limited to how many you can plan ahead, so that's something to bear in mind. And I won't go on settings just because it's live on stream and I don't want to give all my details away. So that's out there, so go and have a play, see what you think. And it's my controller so that I can control stream from there. So let's see whether this is all cut. There we go. I can see I'm going to end up going back to like my manual blade for most things. So let's get the spatula's doing a very good job of hiding. There's our circle, and oh, that's close. So we've got a really nice thin border of navy that's going to go around the outside. So it's going to go in like that. And then I was thinking it'd be nice to have like another circle that's going to be our pattern here. So let's put that onto the mat. I'm going to go OK and reset. And that circle I want to be about 1.5 inches, 1.25 inches. So let's go 1.5 inches actually. So back into my patterns. Very quickly I'm going to add my circle down to 1.5 inches. As onto my mat. Now you're going to see that it's still got that cut area selected, so we're just going to go to the settings, and to reset that, really easy, go to the other mat and back again, and it's going to give you a reset mat. So wherever you do that and then can't remember how to get back out of it, that's the way to go. I'm going to do a background scan so that I can align my circle. I'm going to darken that scan down just so I can see my pattern a bit better. I'm going to tap on that circle in the top left corner. It's going to come up with a red line around the outside, and then I can move that to where I want to pick out a cluster of flowers. So I'm going to go there. Let's just put this up a little bit because this is a little bit thicker than the other paper. There we go. So we can take that off there. So we have Let Your Smile Change the World, and let's do some quick assembly so that we can finish off the card. So just try and make sure that you don't get any blobs of glue. Border to the outside. Good firm pressure all the way down. Helps squidge that glue out. Next panel. All the way down. Down too. So then we have our big circle. And I want to go definitely not to the centre. So let's go there. Then we have our circle panel. I have no idea if the chat function's working or not. I know it doesn't like people that reply very much. It doesn't show me replies. Okay. Now, if we're just trying to stick that on there, because we've got this couple of layers of card just here, you're going to end up getting like a kind of bump. So what I'm going to do, just to try and avoid that, is I'm just going to cut myself a little square. And let's cut a rough curve out. Doesn't have to be very accurate. Now, where's the scrap from my blue? It's probably waving at me going, I'm here. There we go. A little bit of glue, and I'm going to stick that onto my blue. Let's go over here where Scanner Cut very helpfully left that little extra bit card. So what I'm doing is I'm building a little bit of support, and then if it needs trimming, we can trim it after. So hopefully you can see that, just there. And then that looks quite nice that way. So that should be fine. So let's pop that just there. Then a bit glue on our circle. Rotate that round so it looks nice. Down a little bit. Don't want it touching that square if we can help it. There we go. And to finish off, we don't really want another smile when we've already got a smile in the sentiment. So we have beautiful friend with love and hugs, all thinking of you. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go for beautiful friend. So just to make it easy to cut, I'm just going to cut it off the sheet. And then you have a choice. You can either go right up to the blue, or you can make a feature of that little bit of border. And let's do the same this side. So I'm just going to put a little bit of a flag detail on this end here. So I find it easiest to cut the line horizontally and then kind of join the dots. So let's go from this side. There we go. Our beautiful friend, and it might be that you pop that over that side. It could be that you put it kind of going there. It could be on your little circle. But if you're going to do that, then try and shape this end here, or we can pop it up the top. Now, I actually quite like that up the top. The reason being that if we're selling our cards, 9 times out of 10, they're going to be in a stand, and you won't see that bottom bit of the card. So, if we put our sentiments up towards the top, makes it nice and obvious for whoever is buying the card. So who here likes journaling, as in art journaling or planners, something like that? Or would you like me to create a journal on stream with a Scanner Cut? And there we go. So we have our finished card. And if you want to, when you cut these pieces, you can do a bit of ink blending around the outside, so you can make a feature of that kind of panel design. Or if you just want to keep it nice and simple, you can keep it nice and simple. So it really is up to you. So I hope you've enjoyed that. And I hope you've looked at how you can use your shapes in a bit of a different way, with combining it with the scan. so that we can actually fix our scans, we can enhance them. Okay, so that doesn't journal, but would like to see one made. That's cool. That's cool. So I have some fun faux leather paper that I'm going to be cutting in the Scan and Cut. So that's going to be interesting. And I'm glad that you've enjoyed today's stream. And if you have any kind of questions that kind of spring up from when you have a go, then you can always reach out. And while I think of it, because I briefly mentioned it, challenge. So officially, September is Planet Craft's birthday. Now, with everything that happened at the start of the month, I kind of thought it was best to just leave it for a little bit. So some of the birthday stuff we're going to do at the beginning of October, so that we can kind of start fresh from there. But in terms of the birthday challenge, you can start now and you can have a good kind of, 5 weeks to do the challenge. So the challenge is going to be create a layout. So that could be a card layout, it could be a scrapbook layout, or it could be an art journal layout using only basic shapes. So like this card here, where you just literally have circles, rectangles, and anything that comes under the basic shape panel in your Scan and Cut. You can use shapes such as the flowers so long as they are on the material itself. So you can use Scan, but no using the designs or importing an SVG from somewhere. Nice challenge. So let's see what you can do with basic shapes. And I would love to see what you come up with. Gives you a little bit of a clue what I've been doing while I've been on. So pretty much most machines will have a good range of shapes that you can create projects with. Even if you're working with a silhouette and you're just using the basic shapes on there, you should be alright. So I'm going to leave it there for today. Take care, and I will see you probably Thursday when I'll be doing a chocolate bubble stream. So take care and bye.